In the aftermath of the Galactic War, a human soldier inherits a stunning alien slave girl. The war was finally over. After years of endless fighting, the galaxy had fallen silent. Ethan Cole walked slowly through the ruined city on the planet Valora, the final battleground of the Galactic War. Smoke still rose from shattered buildings, and the ground was littered with broken weapons and burned-out vehicles. The sky glowed faintly with the remnants of the last battles, a strange mix of red and orange light that made everything look unreal. Ethan had survived, but he felt hollow inside. He had lost friends, seen countless lives end, and fought in wars that seemed never-ending. Yet the worst part was not the fighting. It was what came after. After the surrender, the victors were given their share of the enemy's assets. These included ships, weapons, technology, and, according to the old galactic laws, slaves. Ethan had heard about this law but never believed it would affect him. Yet here he was, standing before a human officer with a data pad, being told that one of the Empire's slaves had been assigned to him. The idea made him uneasy. Humans had fought for freedom, for survival, for the right not to be controlled by alien powers. And now he was supposed to accept ownership of another being. The officer spoke quickly. "This is Lena Varys. She belongs to you under the surrender treaty. You are responsible for her custody." Ethan stared at the screen showing her file. Lena was young, maybe 19 or 20, with sharp, intelligent eyes and long silver hair. Her species had been considered noble among the Empire, but defeat had reduced them to nothing. The word slave flashed repeatedly on the pad. Ethan's stomach twisted. He had expected loot, maybe a ship or some advanced weapon. This was different. He took a deep breath and asked, "I don't have to keep her, do I?" The officer raised an eyebrow. "The treaty is clear. She is your responsibility. Failure to comply could be punished. The galaxy is watching. Remember, humans are expected to treat prisoners differently than alien victors. Do not embarrass yourself." Ethan nodded slowly and left the office. He did not want to embarrass himself, but he also did not want to treat someone as property. He thought about the humans who had died beside him, the families he had protected, and the values they had fought for. To own another being went against everything he believed. He arrived at the holding area where Lena waited. The room was small and bare, with a faint hum from the life support systems. She sat on a metal bench, her posture straight, her expression calm but wary. When Ethan entered, she did not move. Her eyes studied him with sharp attention, as if she could read his mind. "You're Ethan Cole," she said finally, her voice quiet but firm. "I know of your kind. You are the human soldier who survived the Battle of Valora." Ethan nodded. "That's right." "And you must be Lena Varys." She gave a small nod but did not speak further. The silence stretched, filled with tension. Ethan tried to think of something to say, but the words felt strange in his mouth. I'm not going to hurt you," he said at last. "I don't believe in owning people." Her eyes narrowed slightly, a mixture of suspicion and disbelief. "You are lying," she said. "All humans take what is given. All humans conquer and claim. You will find me useful, and then you will discard me. It is the way of your species." Ethan felt a pang of frustration. "No, humans fight wars to survive, not to enslave. I am not like the Empire. I am not like them." Lena studied him for a long moment. Finally, she said, "Words are easy. Actions are what matter." Ethan knew she was right. He had been raised on words like honor, freedom, and courage, but in the past weeks, actions had been the only things that mattered. He motioned toward a small door. "Come with me. I'll show you where you'll stay." She stood, her movements graceful and deliberate. Lena was taller than she seemed at first glance, with strength and poise evident in every step. Ethan could see that she had been trained for more than servitude. She carried herself like a soldier, a protector of something lost. They walked through the corridors of the temporary human base. Most of the soldiers gave them curious looks, whispering among themselves. It was unusual for a human to have a former enemy in custody and not treat them harshly. Ethan ignored them. He focused on Lena, trying to make this encounter as humane as possible. He led her to a small room near the edge of the base. It was modest but clean, with a bed, a table, and a chair. A window overlooked a ruined city that still smoldered from the last battle. He motioned for her to enter. "This will be your room. You can keep it however you like. You have privacy. I won't enter without asking." Lena stepped inside and looked around, clearly measuring everything. She stopped near the window and said softly, "I was trained to serve. I was trained to obey. This freedom, it is strange, uncomfortable." Ethan smiled faintly. I know freedom can feel strange, but it's what humans fought for, what many species fought for. It's worth learning. She turned her gaze to him. Why do you not see me as property? Why do you not claim what is given to you? Ethan hesitated. He thought about the countless humans who had died, about the families waiting for news, about the ideals he had grown up believing. Because I fought for life, not ownership. I will not take what is not mine to give. If I treated you like property, I would be no better than the empire we just defeated. Lena seemed to consider this. She crossed her arms and said quietly, Then why do you stay near me? Why are you not afraid of me? Because you are not my enemy, Ethan replied. And I believe that one day we can both survive this war without hating each other. The alien woman looked at him with a hint of surprise. Humans are strange. Most are loud and cruel. Most would have forced me to obey within hours. Ethan shrugged. I am not most humans. We are complicated, sometimes stubborn, but not all of us follow the same rules. For a while they stood in silence, each measuring the other. Lena's expression softened slightly, though she did not smile. Ethan could feel her intelligence, her wariness, and her pride. She was not weak, and she had survived more than he could imagine. Over the next few days, Ethan took care to treat Lena with respect. He provided food and water, medical checks, and gave her time alone. Lena observed him silently at first, suspicious of every gesture. Slowly, she began to see that Ethan's actions matched his words. He did not force her to do anything, he did not speak harshly, and he never looked at her with desire to dominate. One evening, Lena approached him while he sat in the small, common area of the base. You act differently from others, she said. Even your soldiers, they whisper about you. They do not understand why you care for me as a person. Ethan looked up and met her eyes. Because I do not care for you as a prize or a possession. I care for you because you are alive. Because you are human enough to want freedom. Her eyes widened slightly. Human enough, you speak as if I am your equal. Most humans would never say that. They would see me as less. You are not less, he said firmly. You are a survivor, a strong survivor. And that is something worth respecting. Lena considered this quietly. For the first time, she felt a flicker of something she had not experienced in years, trust. It was fragile, small, but real. She did not know if it would last, or if humans would one day betray her. But for now, she allowed herself to believe that perhaps this one soldier was different. Ethan spent hours listening to her stories of life under the alien empire, of noble houses, strict hierarchies, and cruel masters. Lena spoke cautiously, but she spoke honestly. Ethan learned about the complex society that had enslaved her people, the battles she had witnessed, and the survival skills she had developed. He was impressed by her intelligence and composure. She was not a typical prisoner. She was a strategist, a thinker, and someone who could have led others if circumstances had been different. Their days became a quiet routine. Ethan maintained his duties as a soldier, checking reports and overseeing base security. Lena explored the temporary quarters, learning human habits and culture. They spoke little at first, but gradually, small conversations turned into exchanges filled with curiosity and cautious humor. Ethan learned that Lena had a subtle sense of humor, one that often went unnoticed by others. Lena discovered that Ethan had a deep sense of justice, one that made him stubborn but compassionate. Evening skies over Valora were always striking. One night, as they stood near the window looking at the ruined city, Lena asked softly, Do you think humans will change the galaxy? Ethan glanced at her. We try. We fail sometimes, but we try. If nothing else, we fight for life and freedom, not for control. She nodded slowly. I do not understand fully, but I want to. Perhaps humans are different than I believed. Ethan smiled faintly. We are, some of us are, and we hope to prove it. In that moment, amidst the ashes of war, two survivors, one human, one alien, began to form a fragile connection. It was not love nor friendship yet. It was trust, the kind that could survive the remnants of war. Lena still feared being controlled, and Ethan still feared failing to do the right thing, but they shared a simple truth. They were both alive, and they could choose how to act in this new galaxy. And for Ethan Cole, that choice was clear. He would not inherit a slave. He would inherit responsibility, and he would honor it as a human should days passed, since Ethan Cole had taken Lena Varus under his care. The war's end left a strange quiet in the galaxy. Soldiers were returning to their homes, ships were being repaired, and councils began to reorganize governments that had collapsed during the conflict. Yet, for Ethan, peace felt fragile. The memory of explosions, the screams, and the faces of fallen comrades lingered in his mind. He did not know if he would ever forget them. Lena spent her days exploring the small human base. She moved silently through corridors, observing the soldiers, their equipment, and the routines that made them human. She noticed their discipline, their laughter, and the way they respected each other's space. It was nothing like her life under the Empire, where every gesture, word, and thought was monitored. She was free to walk, free to speak, free to think, and yet freedom felt strange, uncomfortable. She was not sure how to behave without fear of punishment. Ethan watched her carefully. He could see the tension in her movements, the way her eyes flicked to every corner, expecting danger. He wanted to show her that she could relax, that she could trust him. Yet he also knew that trust could not be demanded. It had to be earned. He did not push her, but he made small gestures of care, providing food she liked, ensuring her room was comfortable, and listening when she chose to speak. One morning, Lena approached Ethan while he was cleaning weapons in the armory. Her steps were quiet, almost hesitant. "Why do you treat me this way?" she asked, her voice low. "Why do you give me freedom when the Empire gave me none?" Ethan paused, placing a rifle on the table. "Because it is the right thing to do," he said. "Humans fight to survive, not to control. We don't take what isn't ours. That is how we are different from them." She studied him for a long moment. "Different or weak?" she asked, her silver eyes narrowed slightly. "Your people could take power over others easily, yet you do not. Why?" Ethan thought carefully. "Because power without responsibility is meaningless. Taking something that belongs to someone else, it makes us worse, not better. If humans forget what we fight for, we become like the Empire we destroyed." Lena's lips pressed together. She did not speak for a moment. Then she said softly, "You speak like a teacher, yet you are a soldier. Soldiers kill and fight. How can you speak of mercy?" Ethan put down the weapon and looked her in the eyes. "We fight to protect. Killing is sometimes necessary, but that does not mean we abandon our values. Mercy, respect, and choice, these are stronger than any weapon, stronger than fear." Lena did not answer immediately. She turned and walked toward the window, looking out at the ruined city. "Your words are strange," she said. "My people believed in obedience. Strength was measured by control. Freedom was weakness, yet you speak as if it is power." "Freedom is power," Ethan said quietly. "It gives people the chance to choose, to learn, to survive on their own. Power without choice is just control, and control is fragile." She looked at him again, and for the first time, a faint hint of respect touched her expression. Lena was used to fear and obedience, yet here was a human who did not demand either. It confused her. It made her wonder if all humans were like this. She doubted it, but she could not help thinking that perhaps Ethan Cole was different. Over the next week, Lena began to talk more freely. She shared small stories about her life under the Empire, the strict rules, the harsh punishments, the nobles who commanded without thought, and the rare moments of kindness that had shaped her. Ethan listened without interrupting. He did not judge her or her people. He wanted her to feel heard, to understand that her experiences mattered. One afternoon, while they walked in the open courtyard of the base, Lena stopped suddenly. "Do you not fear what other humans think of you?" she asked. "You treat me as a person, yet they know I am supposed to be your property. They will mock you, perhaps even punish you." Ethan smiled faintly. "Some will. Others will watch and learn. I am willing to take that risk. I did not survive the war to follow old, cruel rules. I survived to make better choices." Lena considered this. "You are brave, human, braver than most of your kind. Yet I wonder, will your mercy last when the galaxy tests you?" "I hope it will," Ethan said. "But even if I fail, I will try. That is all anyone can do." Their conversations became a pattern. Lena observed, asked questions, and slowly learned about humans and their ways. Ethan shared what he could, speaking of courage, honor, and the responsibility that came with survival. Lena listened, skeptical at first, but gradually her mind opened. She began to understand that humans were not conquerors by nature, that some of them valued life above victory. One evening, a messenger arrived from the human command. He brought news that other alien slaves were being claimed by different human soldiers. Rumors spread through the base. Some soldiers treated their assigned slaves harshly, as the Empire would have expected. Lena overheard whispers of cruelty and disobedience, and her eyes darkened with anger. She had feared this treatment, but she saw that Ethan's behavior was different. He did not follow the law for gain. He did not act out of fear or greed. She approached him quietly. "They speak of cruelty," she said. "Others will not understand your mercy. Do you not fear they will take advantage of it?" Ethan shook his head. "Fear is natural, but it cannot guide every action. If we are only careful because of fear, we lose our humanity. I will act rightly, regardless of what others do." Lena looked at him, studying his expression. She saw determination and honesty. It was something rare, something she had not known in years of service to the Empire. She realized that she could trust him at least partially. Trust was foreign, but it felt light, freeing. The human base began to change subtly. Soldiers noticed the unusual bond between Ethan and Lena. Whispers spread, curiosity rose, and some began to question the old laws. Why did one human treat a former enemy as a person instead of property? Why did he risk ridicule and punishment? Ethan ignored the attention, focusing on doing what he felt was right. Lena's role grew as well. She began learning basic human customs, studying language nuances, and observing social interactions. She was cautious but curious. Ethan encouraged her, never forcing, always allowing choice. Slowly, she began to walk among soldiers without fear, her posture still proud but less guarded. One day, while training in the courtyard, Lena stopped and said, "I have never seen humans act like this before. Your kind fought us, yet you do not seek revenge. You treat me as equal." "Equal," Ethan repeated. "We are not enemies anymore. Survival is not about winning over others. It is about protecting life. Even if we once fought, we can choose to act differently now." Her eyes softened slightly. "Your words and actions, they are confusing, yet I want to understand. Perhaps humans are not what I thought." Ethan nodded. "We are complex. Some of us fail, some succeed. I try to succeed." As the weeks passed, Lena began to participate more actively in daily life at the base. She assisted in small tasks, helped organize supplies, and even advised on strategic matters when asked. Her intelligence and experience from the Empire proved valuable. Soldiers grew to respect her not as a slave, but as someone who had survived terrible times and had much to teach. One evening, Ethan and Lena stood outside, watching the sky streaked with colors from distant suns. Lena spoke softly. "The Empire treated me as property. I was never asked what I wanted, never given a choice. Yet now, with you, I can choose. It feels strange, but good." Ethan placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Choice is what makes us human. Freedom is what makes life worth living. You are free, Lena. No one can take that from you." She looked at him, her eyes reflecting both fear and hope. "I do not fully understand humans, yet I am beginning to believe that they can be honorable, perhaps even kind." Ethan smiled. "We are capable of both. The choice is ours." That night, as the base slept, Lena reflected on the past weeks. She had feared humans, feared ownership, feared betrayal. Yet here was a man who defied all expectations. Ethan Cole had shown her that the galaxy could be different, that freedom could exist even after war. She did not yet fully trust the galaxy nor herself, but she felt a spark of something she had not felt in years: hope. And for Ethan, seeing Lena begin to live and think freely was a reminder of why he had fought. Wars ended, battles were won, but humanity's true strength lay in its ability to protect life, to give freedom, and to act with honor even when no one watched. Lena was not his property, not a prize, not a tool. She was a survivor. And he would do everything he could to ensure she remained free, safe, and respected. The aftermath of war was uncertain, filled with danger and politics, but Ethan Cole had made a choice. He would not inherit a slave. He would inherit responsibility, and he would honor it. Lena Varys would learn to trust humans, and in turn, the galaxy might learn that humanity fought not to dominate, but to defend. News traveled fast in the galaxy, especially when something unusual happened. The reports of Ethan Cole, the human soldier who refused to treat a former enemy as property, reached every corner of the post-war zones. Diplomats whispered about it, alien survivors exchanged stories, and human officers debated quietly in offices. It was strange to many that a soldier would inherit an alien slave and yet treat her with respect, granting her freedom instead of control. Lena Varys noticed the change immediately. Wherever she went in the base, eyes followed her. Whispers filled the corridors. Some soldiers looked curious, some skeptical, and a few were openly hostile. Lena's initial instinct was fear. The Empire had taught her that attention often brought danger. Yet Ethan remained calm, as if he expected the scrutiny but refused to let it change his actions. "They watch us," Lena said one morning as they walked through the open training grounds. The sunlight reflected off the metal walls and floors, making the place look almost alien. I see the glances, the whispers. They do not understand why you act like this. Let them watch, Ethan replied, adjusting his uniform. I do not need their approval. We do what is right, not what is expected. The galaxy may take time to learn this, but it will see. Actions matter more than words. Lena's silver eyes studied him. She had learned much in the past weeks about human ways, but even she was surprised by his quiet confidence. Your actions are strange to them and to me, yet I see honesty in them. You do not lie even when it would be easier. Truth is stronger than deception, Ethan said. And if we lie, we become what the Empire was. Cruelty hides behind lies, but freedom shines in honesty. Rumors soon reached human command. Some officers were impressed, while others worried that Ethan's behavior would set a precedent that could complicate the post-war occupation. They sent a message. Lena was a former slave under galactic law, but her treatment would be observed. Ethan did not resist. He expected scrutiny. He only hoped that Lena would remain safe. One afternoon, an alien delegate arrived at the base. She was tall, regal, and clearly from a noble house that had survived the war. Her eyes were sharp, and her demeanor carried authority. She had come to speak with Lena. I am Commander Vyra, she said, her voice calm but commanding. I represent the remaining houses of the Varus lineage. Lena is under your custody, soldier, yet it is my duty to remind you of her position. She is considered property by our laws. Ethan stepped forward. I am aware of the law, Commander, but I do not follow laws that treat life as ownership. Lena is free. She chooses where she stands, and she is not your property. Vyra's eyes narrowed. You are brave, perhaps foolish. The galaxy respects laws, not ideals. You risk punishment for defiance. I am willing to take that risk, Ethan said. I fought to protect life, not to control it. Lena is not a prize nor a tool. She is alive, and she has the right to make her own choices. Lena remained silent beside him, watching the exchange. She had never imagined anyone would speak so boldly in her defense. Fear and respect mingled in her expression. She realized that Ethan truly believed in freedom, in choice, and in protecting life. Vyra studied Ethan for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she nodded slightly. You are unusual, human. Many of your kind would obey laws blindly, yet you act with thought and conscience. Perhaps this is why the Empire fell. Ethan did not respond, only stood calmly. Lena felt a strange warmth of relief. She was free not because of negotiation, not because of force, but because someone human believed in doing what was right. After Vyra left, Lena turned to Ethan. The galaxy is watching us. They do not understand humans like you. Why do you care so much for one alien? Because caring is what makes us human, Ethan said simply. We can destroy, we can conquer, but our true strength is in protecting life, not taking it. If I treat you as property, I destroy what I fought to defend. Lena considered this carefully. She had been trained to obey, to follow commands without question, and to survive by submission. Yet here was a human who showed that strength could be gentle, that survival could include mercy. She felt a new kind of respect for him. Trust slowly began to take root. Days later, another human officer came to observe. He was older, experienced, and stern. Colonel Madden, Ethan said politely, what brings you here? I came to see how you handle your assigned responsibility, the officer replied. His gaze swept over Lena, then returned to Ethan. Reports suggest you treat her unusually well. The treaty allows property to be used or commanded, yet you do not. Why? Ethan met his eyes evenly. Because she is not property, she is a survivor. I will not act as if she is owned. That is not what humans fight for. We fight for life, not control. Madden's eyebrows lifted. Bold words. The council will hear about this. They may not understand and they may object. Then they will learn, Ethan said. Actions speak louder than words. The officer left, leaving Ethan and Lena alone. She spoke quietly. Your defiance, it is dangerous. Others could try to take me from you, force obedience. I have seen humans fight, but most obey laws blindly. Why are you different? Because I choose to be, Ethan replied. Freedom is not free. It requires courage to protect it and responsibility to uphold it. I have learned that through war, and I will not abandon it now. Lena nodded slowly. She was learning that humans, or at least some of them, could act with honor and conscience. The galaxy was full of danger, but here was someone who stood as a shield for what was right. In the following weeks, the situation escalated. Other alien houses began to demand the return of slaves captured by humans. Diplomats sent letters, envoys arrived at bases, and human commanders debated quietly in offices. Ethan's case became a symbol. Could humans act differently than the Empire, or would they succumb to old rules of control? Lena watched the events unfold with fascination and caution. She had survived wars, slavery, and betrayal, yet she had never seen humans confront the galaxy with principles over law. She felt a growing sense of hope, yet fear lingered. Enemies could come, humans could fail, and she could be returned to chains. One night she spoke to Ethan quietly in the courtyard. "The galaxy is unpredictable. Your choices may protect me, but they also make us targets. Are you certain this is worth it?" Ethan looked at the stars above, calm and steady. "It is worth it because it is right. Life is fragile, power is tempting, but it is hollow without conscience. I will protect freedom even if it costs me everything." Lena stared at him, feeling a mix of admiration and disbelief. She had seen warriors who fought for empire, for honor, for power. She had never seen one fight simply to protect life. She realized that her understanding of humans had been incomplete. There were humans who embodied ideals, not cruelty. Ethan was one of them. As weeks became months, Lena grew more comfortable with human society. She learned language nuances, customs, and small human habits. She even helped mediate disputes among soldiers, her intelligence and calm presence earning respect. For the first time, she felt that she could belong, that she could live without fear of forced obedience. Ethan observed her growth quietly, proud but wary. He knew that freedom was fragile, that the galaxy was full of those who would take advantage of weakness. Yet he also knew that by showing trust and respect, he could build something stronger than fear. Lena was learning that life could be guided by choice, and he was learning that courage could take many forms. Then, one morning, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. They demanded a hearing regarding the treatment of alien slaves by human soldiers. Lena's name was mentioned specifically. They questioned Ethan's refusal to comply with law. The hearing was scheduled in the coming days, bringing tension and uncertainty. Lena turned to Ethan. "This, Council, they will not understand your way. They may force me to return to them to obey." Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we will face them together. I will speak for what is right. Freedom is worth defending even before the Council. We fight not for power, but for life. You will remain free, Lena." "I promise that." She looked at him, the first true smile touching her lips. It was small, fragile, but genuine. Hope, long buried under fear, began to take root. She realized that she had a choice, a voice, and a protector who valued her as a person. For the first time, she did not feel like property. She felt alive. The Council's arrival brought more attention. Journalists, diplomats, and envoys gathered to witness how humans would act. The galaxy was watching, curious and skeptical. Lena felt fear, yet she also felt courage, inspired by Ethan's steadfastness. They would stand together, face scrutiny, and show that humanity could act differently than the Empire. As night fell over the base, Lena and Ethan stood together under the stars. She whispered, "I am beginning to believe that humans can be good." Ethan smiled faintly. "Good, yes, but also responsible. Strength lies not in control, but in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy will see, and perhaps it will learn." And so, amidst political tension, scrutiny, and whispers of disapproval, Lena Varys and Ethan Cole prepared for the challenge ahead. The galaxy would watch humanity, and humanity would answer. Not with conquest, but with principles, courage, and the quiet strength of protecting freedom. The day of the Council hearing arrived, and tension filled the air. Lena Varys and Ethan Cole stood together in a large chamber filled with delegates, diplomats, and observers from multiple species. The walls were smooth and metallic, reflecting the light from high windows. Every eye in the room seemed to focus on them, some curious, some skeptical, and others openly hostile. Lena felt a flicker of fear, but Ethan remained calm, his posture steady and confident. "Lena Varys is under the custody of soldier Ethan Cole," the council announcer began. "Reports indicate that he refuses to comply with galactic law regarding inherited slaves. We require justification for his actions." Ethan stepped forward. His voice was firm and clear. "I will speak for myself and for Lena. The Empire's law treated living beings as property. Humans fight to protect life, not to own it. Lena is not my possession. She is a person with thoughts, feelings, and the right to choose her own path. I refuse to act as though she is anything less than alive and free. Murmurs swept through the chamber. Some delegates frowned, while others leaned forward, intrigued. Lena watched Ethan closely. She felt a strange mix of pride and relief. He was defending her not as a soldier defending a law, but as a human defending freedom itself. A council delegate, a tall alien with green scales and sharp eyes, spoke next. Soldier Cole, your defiance undermines the traditions of this galaxy. The law is clear. Slaves assigned to victors are property. Your refusal sets a dangerous precedent. Ethan met the delegate's gaze evenly. Laws are important, but not when they strip away the right to live freely. The Empire's laws were designed to control and oppress. I will not continue that cycle. Lena is free, and she has chosen to remain here not because she is forced, but because she wishes to. True strength comes from respect and protection, not control. Lena felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had never imagined anyone would speak so boldly in her defense. She had feared humans, feared cruelty, feared being returned to chains. Yet here was one who defended her as a person, not as property. Another delegate, this one human, spoke next. Soldier Cole, are you aware of the consequences? Refusal may lead to punishment, dishonor, or reassignment. Why risk so much for one alien? Because it is right, Ethan replied simply. Freedom is not given lightly. It must be protected, even when inconvenient or risky. If humanity cannot act with honor in victory, what are we fighting for? Lena, emboldened by Ethan's words, stepped forward for the first time. Her voice was calm, yet strong. I have been trained to obey, to serve, to fear. I expected control, punishment, and cruelty. Yet this human has treated me with respect. He has given me choice, and in return I have learned to trust. I choose to remain free, and I choose to stand with him. A hush fell over the chamber. Delegates whispered among themselves, astonished by her courage. Lena's words were simple, yet powerful. They were not about politics or law, but about life, dignity, and freedom. One of the alien delegates, a high-ranking noble who had served the Empire, rose angrily. This is unacceptable. You speak against tradition, against law. You should be returned to your rightful owners. Lena faced him steadily. I have no owners. I am not property. The Empire no longer exists. I am alive, and I have the right to make choices. Soldier Cole did not force me. He protected me. I will not return to fear. I will not obey chains that no longer exist. The chamber erupted in debate. Some delegates argued that the law must be enforced, that defiance could spread to other systems. Others began to reconsider. Humans had fought beside them in the war, risking lives to defend planets and species. If one human could act with honor, perhaps others could as well. Ethan remained calm, listening to every argument. He understood the risk. Some delegates would oppose them, and powerful voices could overturn their defense. Yet he trusted in principle, in truth, and in the quiet strength of protecting life. He believed that actions mattered more than decrees. After hours of discussion, a vote was called. Each delegate cast their choice. Lena held her breath, her hands clenched. She had never felt so nervous, yet so hopeful. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. No matter what happens, we did the right thing, he said quietly. Honor and freedom do not depend on votes. Finally, the results were announced. A majority voted to recognize Lena as a free individual under human protection. The law that had treated her as property was suspended, at least in the custody of humans. Lena's eyes widened and she turned to Ethan. We won. Ethan nodded, smiling faintly. Freedom wins when it is protected. Today we proved that life matters more than laws designed to control it. Lena felt tears sting her eyes. She had survived the Empire, war, and slavery, yet never had she experienced this. True choice, true respect, and true protection. She realized that she could live without fear, that she could trust a human to honor life above law. The chamber began to clear, delegates returning to their duties. Some aliens approached Lena and Ethan, offering quiet words of respect. Others still muttered, but they could not ignore the precedent that had been set. Lena's courage and Ethan's principles had changed the conversation across multiple systems. As they walked back to the human base, Lena spoke softly. I do not fully understand humans, yet I begin to believe you are capable of honor. You did not act for reward nor for law, but for what is right. That is what it means to be human, Ethan replied. We are capable of mistakes, of cruelty, but also of courage and conscience. We fight not to dominate, but to protect. Freedom is fragile and it must be defended. Today, we defended it. Over the next few weeks, Lena began to take a more active role in bridging understanding between humans and aliens. She shared her experiences, taught about the Empire, and helped soldiers and diplomats see the value of respecting others. She became a quiet ambassador, showing that even after war, trust and understanding could exist. Ethan continued his duties, observing, protecting, and guiding. He trained soldiers, supervised repairs, and ensured the base remained secure. Yet he also made time to support Lena, helping her navigate the complexities of a galaxy still learning to recover from war. Together, they became a symbol. Humans could fight, survive, and still act with honor. They could protect life without taking it, and they could inspire others to do the same. One evening, as they stood overlooking a rebuilt section of the city, Lena spoke again. "I never thought I would see a galaxy like this. Humans fight fiercely, yet some of you fight to protect, not conquer. It is strange but good." Ethan smiled. "We are capable of both good and bad. The choice is ours. We can act with cruelty or with honor. Today we chose honor. And we will continue to choose it because it is the right path." Lena nodded slowly. "I want to help. I want to show others that freedom is stronger than fear, that trust can exist even after war. You have shown me that, human. I will do my best to follow your example." "And I will help you," Ethan said. "We protect each other, and in doing so we protect life. That is the only way to build a future worth living." The galaxy slowly began to take notice. Reports of Ethan Cole and Lena Varus spread across systems. Stories of humans defending freedom, even when inconvenient, inspired hope. Survivors of the Empire looked to humans not as conquerors, but as allies capable of honor. Lena's example encouraged others to speak, to question old rules, and to act with conscience. For Ethan and Lena, life was not easy. Challenges remained and dangers still lurked in the post-war galaxy. Yet they faced the future together, bound not by law or obligation, but by choice, trust, and mutual respect. They had proven that even after war, principles could endure and freedom could be defended. And in the quiet moments, as the sun set over the rebuilt city, Lena looked at Ethan and said softly, "Thank you for showing me what it means to be free." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and reassuring. "We all have a chance to be better, Lena. Today we protected freedom. Tomorrow we continue to do so. That is how the galaxy changes, one choice at a time." And so, amidst political tension, whispers of skepticism, and the lingering shadows of war, two survivors, one human, one alien, stood together. They had faced the council, confronted tradition, and defended life itself. The galaxy had watched, and humanity had answered, not with conquest, but with courage, honor, and the quiet strength of protecting freedom. Months passed since the council hearing, and the galaxy slowly began to recover from the scars of war. Planets rebuilt their cities, trade routes reopened, and survivors of the Empire tried to find their place in a world that had changed forever. For Ethan Cole and Lena Varus, life had settled into a new rhythm, though challenges remained. Lena had grown confident in her freedom. She moved through the human base with ease, helping in small ways and learning about human culture. She still remembered the fear and control of her past, yet now she felt pride in her choices. She could speak, walk, and act without fear. She could make decisions for herself. She had survived slavery, survived war, and now she was free to shape her own future. One morning, as Ethan walked through the training grounds, Lena approached him. "We have news," she said. Her silver eyes sparkled with determination. "Other former slaves have requested human protection. They want safety, not chains. They saw what happened here. They saw freedom defended." Ethan listened carefully. The galaxy was slowly learning that humans could act with honor. "Then we must help them," he said. "Freedom is fragile. If we can protect life and choice, even for a few, we make the galaxy stronger." Lena nodded. "I will help. I can teach them what I have learned here. I can show them that humans fight for life, not control." Together, they began assisting refugees, coordinating transport to safe zones, and training former slaves in basic skills needed to live independently. Lena's experience under the Empire made her an invaluable guide. She taught the survivors how to navigate human society, communicate, and understand trust. Ethan oversaw security, ensuring that no threats from rogue factions or lingering Empire forces could harm those under their care. As they worked, Lena noticed subtle changes in human soldiers and commanders. Some who had been skeptical began to see the value of mercy and protection. They observed how Ethan treated her with respect, and how freedom, not fear, could inspire loyalty and cooperation. Stories of their actions spread quietly across systems, encouraging other humans to act with conscience. One evening, after a long day of work, Lena and Ethan stood overlooking a rebuilt sector of the city. The sky was painted with soft hues of orange and purple, reflecting on the metal structures that glinted in the fading sunlight. Lena spoke softly. "I never thought I would see a galaxy like this. Humans can fight, survive, and still act with honor." "You have shown me that life matters more than power," Ethan smiled. "Freedom is worth defending, Lena. It takes courage, patience, and sometimes sacrifice, but the result is worth it. We protect life, not property. We protect choice, not obedience." Lena thought about how far she had come. She remembered the fear and submission of her past, and she realized that she had learned something important. Survival was not enough. Living freely with dignity and trust was true strength. She could choose her path, and she had chosen to stand with humans who honored life. Their work began to gain attention from leaders across the galaxy. Some alien races, once loyal to the fallen empire, began requesting guidance on humane treatment of former slaves. Lena became a cultural envoy, teaching diplomacy, communication, and understanding. She traveled to distant planets, sharing her story and showing that respect and freedom could rebuild trust between species. Ethan supported her efforts, overseeing security and ensuring that missions were safe. He continued to train new recruits, emphasizing that strength without honor was meaningless. Together, they became a symbol of a new era, humans who fought not for conquest but for protection, humans who valued life above power. One day, a young alien woman approached Lena. Her eyes were wide with fear and curiosity. "I heard your story," she said. "I was a slave under the Empire. Can humans really treat us as equals?" Lena smiled gently. "Yes, they can. Not all humans are the same, but there are those who fight for freedom, who protect life, and who honor choice. I am living proof. You can trust, but you must also choose for yourself. Freedom is strongest when we embrace it." The young woman nodded, hope flickering in her eyes. Lena realized that her role had grown beyond survival. She was teaching others how to live, how to trust, and how to rebuild their lives after cruelty and oppression. She had become a bridge between humans and aliens, a living example of the power of choice and respect. Ethan watched the interaction quietly, pride and calm determination in his eyes. He had never sought recognition or reward. He had acted because it was right. Yet he saw the ripple effect of their actions across systems, inspiring others to protect life, respect freedom, and act with conscience. Over time, the base evolved into a hub for refugees and former slaves. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing skills, learning from each other, and rebuilding communities. Lena's leadership and guidance helped maintain harmony, and Ethan's unwavering commitment to honor ensured that no one abused power. The galaxy slowly learned that humanity could lead not through fear, but through integrity. One quiet evening, Lena and Ethan walked through the base gardens. The air was filled with the scent of alien flowers, cultivated carefully to remind survivors of beauty beyond destruction. Lena turned to Ethan, her expression serious yet soft. "Do you ever regret it, taking responsibility for me for all of this?" Ethan shook his head. "Never. I survived the war to protect life, not to claim it. Helping you, helping others, it is what gives meaning to survival. Honor and freedom are worth every risk." Lena smiled faintly. "You have taught me much, human, courage, trust, and choice. I will carry these lessons wherever I go. The galaxy may still be dangerous, but now I am not afraid." "Fear is natural," Ethan said, "but courage is acting despite it. You have courage, Lena, more than you realize, and together we can protect what matters." As they walked, the sky darkened, stars appearing one by one. Lena looked up, her heart light for the first time in years. She felt the strength of choice, the power of freedom, and the quiet pride of survival. She was no longer a slave, no longer bound by fear. She was alive, truly alive, and she had learned to trust humans in a galaxy that had known so much cruelty. Over the following months, more former slaves sought assistance. Lena and Ethan organized safe havens, trained ambassadors, and worked with human and alien leaders to create systems that protected freedom and life. Lena's story became widely known, inspiring others to question old traditions and act with conscience. She realized that survival was not only about avoiding death, but about protecting dignity, choice, and trust. Ethan continued his work quietly, never seeking recognition. He focused on teaching soldiers, helping survivors, and supporting Lena. Together, they represented a new way forward. Humans acting with honor, showing mercy, and defending life above law or power. Their actions rippled across the galaxy, slowly changing minds and hearts. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking a city alive with rebuilding efforts, Lena spoke softly. "I have learned so much from you, Ethan, not just about humans, but about life. Freedom is more than a word. It is something to be protected every day." "And it is worth protecting," Ethan said. "Because without freedom, life loses its meaning. We fought wars, survived battles, and now we have a chance to make a difference. It is not easy, but it is possible." Lena nodded. "I will continue to fight for freedom, to teach others, and to protect life. You have shown me that hope can exist even after war. And you inspire others to see it," Ethan replied. "We are stronger together, and our choices create the future." The galaxy continued to heal, slowly but surely. Former enemies learned to trust humans, inspired by examples of courage and mercy. Lena's work as an envoy helped establish peaceful relations, and Ethan's guidance ensured that no one abused power. Together, they built a foundation for a future where choice, life, and respect mattered more than conquest and fear. And in quiet moments, when the stars shone brightly over rebuilt cities and thriving communities, Lena would look at Ethan and remember the first days after the war, the fear, the uncertainty, and the fragile trust she had placed in a human soldier. Now that trust had grown into something stronger, hope. The war had ended, the empire had fallen, and the galaxy was learning to live again. Through courage, honor, and the protection of life, humans like Ethan Cole proved that survival was not enough. It was the choices made after war, the defense of freedom, and the respect for others that truly defined humanity. Lena knew that she would carry these lessons wherever she went. She would continue to protect, to teach, and to inspire. She would remember that life was precious, freedom was sacred, and trust was the strongest bond of all. And Ethan Cole, quietly, steadfastly, continued to fight in his own way, not with weapons, but with conscience, honor, and the courage to do what was right, no matter the cost. Together, they shaped a galaxy that could learn from the past, embrace freedom, and hope for a future where life and choice were always defended. The galaxy watched and humanity answered, not with conquest, not with chains, but with courage, honor, and the quiet strength of protecting life. Lena smiled, looking at Ethan. "Thank you for showing me what it means to be free." "And thank you," Ethan replied softly, "for reminding me why freedom is worth protecting." Together, they looked to the stars, ready to face the future.